Atlanta, the Paralympic Games. In 1996, there was no other sport event comparable with the Olympic Games. For 1 month, the world's Atlanta and Olympiad have been closely connected. But even after the finish of the great competitions, the capital of Georgia went on attracting the public attention. The main heroes became disabled sportsmen. We mean the Paralympic Games. There were no special preparations for that event in Atlanta because lots of things were left after the Olympiad.
Good evening.
It was a common practice for a luxurious Marriott hotel to accept various conferences, congresses and assemblies. But the Paralympic Congress held there was special. It was supposed to define prospects of the Paralympic movement for years ahead. Some of the issues had nothing to do with sports, but highlighted the activity of associations of the disabled, their cooperation and rights of people with disabilities. Representatives of each country shared their experience of solving the problems that occurred. But the question of recreation and rehabilitation of the disabled by means of sports was risen most of all. The Congress was the first and very important one for the Russian delegation. And it was not a mere delegation as it had been in Barcelona or Lillehammer. In Atlanta, Russia was represented by a newly formed Paralympic committee. Alexander Tarabykin, Vice President of the Paralympic Committee of Russia, told. Here, a great number of questions have been discussed, such as rehabilitation of the disabled in different countries, development of sports of people with disabilities, construction of proper dwelling houses for them, education of injured children, medical matters, and many others. The main idea is that by developing sports and health care, many disability problems can be solved. At the same time, the Congress is a trade festival. It is a way of exchanging information, scientific concepts, and practical solutions. We appreciate the fact that for the first time, the Russian scientists took the floor and evoked much interest. In accordance with good American traditions, not that so different from the Russian ones, the Congress was over with the chorus performance. In addition to excellent voices, one could not help admiring the work of an interpreter for the deaf-mutes. Robert Stedward, president of the International Paralympic Committee, said that the most difficult question for them was to determine whether the IPC was responsible for the holding of the Winter and Summer Paralympic Games and if it would be in charge of organizing the World and European Championships in future. That question provoked lots of contradictions, but the main thing for them, as he said, was still the creation of favorable conditions of going in for sports for people with disabilities. Upon several days of sessions, the participants were given time to relax at a fourchette party, where nevertheless the discussions went on. We could not lose the opportunity to speak with one of the head officials of the IBSA.
I would certainly love to come to Russia because I lost part of my heart in Russia because I love the athletes, I support them as much as possible, and I will be delighted to be your guest during your sports and culture festival in Tyumen.
Alexander Tarabykin thanked for a great support of the movement and assured that the Tyumen citizens would be happy to welcome Mr. Reyes at the festival.
Thank you very much. Спасибо. Thank you very much.
By the way, such invitations were given to many Paralympic officials. The end of the Congress did not mean the end of an official part that preceded the Games. The Assembly. There, the questions regarding cooperation between the Olympic and Paralympic committees were considered, an income gained from the competitions was distributed, and many other matters were discussed. The evidence of a growing influence of the Paralympic movement was the presence of Mr. Juan Antonio Samaranch, president of the International Olympic Committee.
The sports in the world is growing and growing and becoming more important.
Он считает, что вообще все виды спорта развиваются и становятся все более и более важными.
The sport is a very important fact in our society of today.
Спорт является очень важным фактором в жизни нашего общества.
But not only the sports of high competition like the Olympic Games, also the sports for all, the sports in education, and the sports for the disabled. I am sure that the Paralympics will become even more important in the future.
The president of the Olympic Committee also received an invitation to visit Tyumen. The work of the assembly was coming to an end, and if the Congress was over with the chorus songs, the assembly was finished with inflammatory dances. Besides the Congress and the Assembly, in the hotel there was an exhibition of new techniques and programs of rehabilitation of the disabled. There, Australia proclaimed its wish to play host to the Paralympic Games in 4 years. Meanwhile, the fire of the Paralympic Games was approaching Atlanta. President Bill Clinton took part in handing on the baton. That was another evidence of the great attention to the Paralympic movement in the USA. And at last, everything was ready for the beginning of the Games. Americans were true to themselves, glorifying the United States. Paying credit to them, we must admit that the beginning of the opening ceremony was far from being traditional. The flight of a white-haired eagle was really spectacular. Air shows prevailed in the beginning. But who do you think appeared after the prelude was over? Whom did Americans entrust to hold the opening ceremony? Certainly to a Superman who suffered a personal tragedy himself. Christopher Reeve, a Hollywood star, a world celebrity after the film Superman, had fallen from a horse, injured a backbone, and found himself in a wheelchair. You can imagine the feelings of a man in the prime of his life who lost everything he was accustomed to. Only with the help of his family, Reeve managed to be back to a normal life. He participated in the Bill Clinton election campaign and switched over to the public activity. The triumph of the human spirit. Under that motto, the 1996 Paralympic Games were held. And Christopher Reeve, as well as other participants, symbolized that human spirit. President Clinton took part in the relay race nearby the White House, and Vice President Albert Gore was present at the opening ceremony. The parade of all participants did not yield to the parade of Olympians and its grandiosity. Delegations of all participating countries have been coming out for 2 hours. Some of them were not numerous. Some consisted even of 2-3 persons. It is time to revise how the Paralympic Games began. Their history started at a small Stockmanderville hospital in England, where a neurosurgeon, Ludwig Goodman, was using sports as a rehabilitation tool in soldiers' treatment. On seeing what a benefit sports could bring, Sir Ludwig organized the Paralympic Games in 1948. By mere chance, they coincided with the Olympic Games, but later no attempts were made to connect both games together. The first games of people with disabilities took place in few weeks after the Olympiad in Rome. Since that time, they have been held in a close connection in one and the same city. But then, one question is to the point. What about the Moscow Olympic Games in 1980? After its end, nobody heard about the Paralympiad. It was to be held, and it was held, but in Holland. Those times, the Russian government announced that in a developed socialist country there were absolutely no people with disabilities. Then everything took its normal course. Los Angeles, 84, Seoul, 88, Barcelona, 92, and at last Atlanta, 96. America gathered about 3,500 disabled athletes from 110 countries. Just to compare, in Rome there were only 400 participants from 23 countries. Thus, little by little, the Paralympic Games has turned into the greatest sport event of a 4-year period. the World Culture and Sports Winter Festival. Some years ago, in Russia, few people knew that the world of sports belonged not only to the healthy, and such a word as the Paralympiad was absolutely unfamiliar, but at last the silence about sports of the disabled was broken, and it's a real pleasure that the Tumen region played a very important role in that. To confirm these words, let's remember the World Culture and Sports Winter Festival. Tumen people were the first who decided to unite sports and culture as true equals. Leonid Raketsky, governor of the Tumen region. First of all, I'd like to thank those who organized the festival. These people are restless, and they are doing everything to help the disabled enjoy their full rights in our country. I wish you nice acquaintances, and let our Tumen land give you new strength, high spirit, and a real Siberian character, which always wins. The festival program started with its diversity. It included performances of art groups and various competitions. A scientific part of the festival was represented with the Congress. The scientists showed their sincere interest in the problems of rehabilitation and social adaptation of people with disabilities. The result of the Congress was a draft resolution including the appeal to the federal structures of Russia and a list of specific measures to be taken for the disabled. The Congress called everyone who valued traditions of culture and mutual assistance to set up and expand charity foundations, to develop networks of specialized and well-equipped facilities for people with disabilities. The festival consisted of cultural and sports parts. Within its limits, the exhibition of articles handmade by the disabled took place. Of course, from the first sight, those works are not special, but just appreciate that these works are made by pupils of the Moscow boarding school for the blind, and those by skilled craftsmen of the Voloklamsk Rehabilitation Center of the Blind. If you doubt that a blind deaf-mute is able to be a sculptor, the art of Yuri Lerner could be a proof. The exhibition presented by the All Russia Society of the Deaf was also very interesting. But if deaf-mutes could be so successful in painting, why they could not go in for hockey playing? Our guests, a hockey team from Germany, was not very experienced, but the youngest team from Novosibirsk, Russia, just struck everyone with its excellent playing. The interest towards the deaf-mute hockey games might be greater if except Russian and German combined teams and a Novosibirsk team, Canadians, Swedes and Finns came. Their participation could make the hockey tournament much more vivid. Roy Hyson, a technical expert and coach of the Canadian combined team, said, "Russians are good at hockey, and if our team were able to come to Tumen, the tournament would be more interesting. Now, I'm sorry that the Canadian team didn't come."
Yeah, they should be here.
If at the festival the hockey was represented not in full, the cultural program was at its best. The festival was attended by so many art groups that they could form 4 troupes of full value. A great number of genres and styles such as folk art, bards and vocal quartets singing, dancing and others were represented. Every day, actors of the Moscow Mimicry and Gesture Theatre rejoiced the public. They made 5 performances for children and adults. One could hardly think of a better gift for human spectators. There were many bright spots during the festival, but one of them was absolutely special: the Sky Open for All program. All the guests and participants of the festival were given a real chance to test themselves by parachute jumping. Many disabled people took the opportunity in full. Andrei Berdugin said, "I have inexpressible impressions. 30 seconds of a free flight cost a lot. I was not scared. I do like extreme situations, and if there is another opportunity, I shall take it and jump again. It is so quiet in the sky." Experienced sportsmen as well as the beginners participated in the parachute jumping program. Ken Taylor is experienced. He has an artificial leg, but he's still in the services working as an instructor of the Australian Landing Forces. He has made more than 1,500 jumps. Let's listen to him.
The aim of being here in Tumen is to show the sport of parachuting, and we want to propose that we have a gathering or a meeting of disabled skydivers in Australia in the year 2000.
The festival was one more test for Tumen people's abilities of holding high-level cultural and sports events. The festival proved its value as the world one. It was attended by representatives of Australia, Spain, Germany, Switzerland, Canada, France and Belgium. Enrique Sanz, the IBSA president, was one of the honored guests.
Excellent. The fact that we had been treated very, very well, with an excellent kindness of all of you, and to see so many people that is in need of actions like this one. I think to have this meeting where people from even many different countries, and here people from Russia with a disability have the chance of proving and showing that they are citizens in equality with the rest.
Though the basketball was not a part of the official program, some show matches were held. in spite of the fact that all three rivals were the players of one and the same club, a bronze prize winner of the Russian championship. The show was excellent. So were the tricks of a Canadian deaf-mute clown and illusionist Pierre Petit, a favorite of the public. In addition to the holding of performances and competitions, ceremonies and scientific forum, the most important task was to create the atmosphere of cordiality and friendship. And if the dancing in wheelchairs is possible, then why deaf-mutes cannot sing? Every performance of the Zrimaya Pesnya troupe from Chelyabinsk was a real surprise. It goes without saying that the holding of such a great event as the World Festival needs hard efforts. Special credit should be given to those who did their best for the festival. First of all, it's applicable to Alexander Tarabykin. He said, "For the first time in our country, the science, art, sports and culture are so closely connected. The festival participants manifested their ability to realize themselves." A week of the festival that has given everybody lots of joyful meetings is over. All the laureates are defined, all the awards presented, but the history of the Paralympic movement does not finish. It goes marching on. A dream that the ancient city of Tobolsk has been after for so many years is coming true. All Russian ski race championships among the disabled held there were not in vain. A spark has set the fire. It seems that nowadays the Paralympic movement in the Tumen region and perhaps in Russia has reached its summit. For several winter months, two big sport events have been held. In December, in Tumen, it was the World Culture and Sports Winter Festival, and now it's the European Ski and Biathlon Championship in Tobolsk. The first thing to do was to provide a proper accommodation for all participants. It was Slavyanskaya Hotel that took a full-time job. There, the headquarters of the championship was located. According to the application form's data, the total number of sportsmen, companions and officials made up 285 persons from 15 countries. The most numerous delegation, except the Russian one, was German, 37 persons. Most likely, it happened because of a good previous experience of the German team at the Tumen Festival. Tobolsk also gathered representatives of Scandinavian countries, France, Holland, Italy, Switzerland, Slovakia, Poland, Austria, Estonia and the Ukraine. A real festival was arranged for them at the opening ceremony. There, the prestige was won not by the touring stars' invitation, but Tobolsk original talents. But the main surprise was a ski track. A ski stadium was so well prepared that could compete with the best European ones. Does Umberto Belletti, captain of the Swiss team, think of the championship?
The people here is very nice and the competition is very strong, is good organized.
For the first time in Russia, the championship included also biathlon. Despite the lack of experience, an arranged shooting ground was unanimously admitted to be one of the best in Europe. The results depended only on the mastership of sportsmen. Every evening, the awarding took place. No other championship could boast of such an outstanding awarding ceremony. And again, Russian champion Alexander Nasarulin ascended the upper step of the podium. However, it was a German team that was a real hero of the championship. The German sportsmen won 6 gold medals. A story about the European Championship will be incomplete without mentioning the fans. Owing to their cordial support, all the competitions were joyful and vivid. To say honestly, it was the first time when the competitions among the disabled gathered so many spectators. From the very beginning, they formed separate groups and supported their favorite teams with all their hearts. After the finish, participants gave so many autographs as they had never given before. This is Michel Bertizen, General Secretary of the IBSA. He said, "We witnessed a very good organization, and I'd like to distinguish a lot of specialists who are really talented and know their jobs quite well." And Michel Romanet, technical director of the IBSA, added that he was really surprised that there were so many spectators at the stadium. In other countries, their number is usually less, he said. There we met our friend, Mr. Udo Hirsch from Germany. 2 years ago, in Switzerland, at one of the European Cup competitions, he gave a positive answer to our question whether he was coming to Russia or not. And to all appearances, he is not sorry now. Udo is telling, "I've got a great opportunity to make acquaintances with Russian people and find new friends. I'm glad that the European Championship is held in Russia, in Siberia. I attended many world championships in different countries. These competitions have struck me most of all." And what about Tobolsk? No doubt, these competitions are not the last ones for it. The value of a brand mark of the city, where the Paralympic Committee of Russia was born, should be constantly proved. And we see no reason why some world championship in the 21st century cannot be held here. So far, this is a distant future plan. But when Alexander Tarabykin, a chief inspirer and organizer of the competitions, vice president of the Paralympic Committee of Russia and a coach, takes his job, all prospects can come true. Alexander Tarabykin is telling, what we see now is the result of a hard, fruitful work. The most difficult thing was to make international sports organizations face our committee and believe in our ability to hold the European Championship on an international level. We proved that our people, with open hearts and minds, could welcome participants of any high-class competition. We spent a lot of time to persuade the international experts. We brought them to Tobolsk and showed our ski tracks. After we had put our application, 3 years passed until we were allowed to hold the European Championship in Tobolsk. It is an interesting fact that at the World Championship in Sweden, there were less participants than in Tobolsk. So now, the history of this city has gained one more outstanding event. The championship has left good memories in hearts of all participants and organizers. And very soon, you will hear about some new achievement of the Paralympic movement again.
Esquire.
Салон модной одежды. Esquire.
Английский стиль.
This is what is coming up on our left. Is Pier 1, which is the old overseas passenger terminal here in Sydney. Just coming up here on the left-hand side. When they restored this one, they were hoping it would be along the lines of Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, but it never really took off, and it was basically just a shell with a couple of very nice restaurants on one end for many years, and now it's going to be made into a hotel, another international hotel here in Sydney. On the left-hand side, as we go around the corner, the old amusement park called Luna Park. Been an icon of Sydney for many years. Unfortunately, they've had their problems and it has been closed due to lack of funds for a while. But it is opening up again I hear. Before the year 2000, it'll be reopened. Going to Sydney Opera House. Probably the best known tourist attraction here in Australia. When they were looking for a design to build the Opera House, they knew they wanted an unusual building of some sort there, but they weren't sure what. They actually, and that's his design we see there today at the Sydney Opera House. They originally budgeted around $6 million to build the Opera House, but it ended up taking 13 years and costing $106 million before it was finished. And we can get a parking spot, so I'll be able to let you out here for a few minutes.
Лена, идемте к нам. Давай, давай. Неудобно это. Своим мужем должно быть удобно везде. Иди. Даже в общественных местах.
Нет, ну
стороны, посмотри. Дерево, да?
Садитесь все. Давайте все. Людмила Николаевна.
Another one of the old cargo wharves, or finger wharves as we call them. This is a Woolloomooloo wharf. This one's under restoration at the moment. Is going to be turned into a total residential complex. There's going to be one hotel and the rest of it's going to be apartments. To give you an idea of the incredible cost of restoring these old wharves, just to replace all the timber pylons holding up each particular wharf, they tell me is going to cost somewhere around $12 million just to replace the pylons. When you take into account all the different governments and the federal government. We're just coming into our cinema district where all our movie theatres are. The latest edition of which was the Planet Hollywood, you can see just on the left-hand side here. When they opened that up, quite a few of the stars came out from Hollywood for the opening, and they closed off the whole of George Street. Side, the monorail tracks, that's how small the loop is that it does. Here in Sydney at Darling Harbour. These were a gift to the people of Sydney for our bicentenary in 1988. A gift from the people of China, and they're said to be the largest Chinese gardens outside of mainland China. This building on the right-hand side here, the large building, is the Sydney Exhibition Centre. With call that unusual framework. The framework is designed or meant to look a bit like the rigging on sailing ships to show an affinity with the ocean. But it also means that there's very little framework inside the building. And then after that we have the Darling Harbour Marketplace, which is where all the shops are. It's on the right hand side here, Darling Harbour Marketplace. All the shops and the restaurants and the cafes and such. Very popular place on the weekends, Darling Harbour. Directly on our right here we have the Sydney Maritime Museum, the Nautical Museum. We can't quite see through. Okay, so if you look down to the left-hand side there now, you can see the main area of Darling Harbour. Little bay is called Cockle Bay. The old ferry that you can see tied up next to the bridge out there is now a restaurant. Turned it into a nice restaurant. The building behind it there is the marketplace, the other side of the Darling Harbour Marketplace. They told me this new construction work here is going to be another hotel. Just as we go under the old Piedmont Bridge here, we have the Sydney Aquarium World. And they're actually extending the aquarium as well. We're really only about one block down from where we came across the first time on Market Street. People around. This is where they used to leave from here at Rose Bay. In fact, the very first international Qantas flight left from here at Rose Bay. And I think it took about 8 days to get to London. No, we don't really go near that. Unfortunately, no. You might be able to see a very famous type of seaplane. And they still do have seaplanes using this bay here, although these days they just do joy flights and small trips up and down the harbour, up and down the coast, sorry. The other side of these trees here on the right hand side, you can see that old building on top of the old building there. That's the Royal Sydney Golf Club, probably one of, if not the most exclusive golf.
Насчет вертолета.
After Robert Watson, who was the first harbour master here in Sydney. It was originally a little fishing village. House. It's built by Governor Macquarie. And an architect, a convict architect by the name of Francis Greenway. When Governor Macquarie arrived here, he quickly went through the ranks of the convicts and picked any that had any sort of skill or trade that he could use in helping the glory. It's been taken there by the Historical Society. So as I mentioned, the whole thing will be restored. So next time you come back, it should be a brand new Bondi Beach. You can see all the red roofs of Sydney down there to the right-hand side. Down around this corner down here, you get your first glimpse of the famous Bondi Beach. And I'll imagine it's going to be very crowded today. Sunny Sunday. What we do is keep our fingers crossed that we can find somewhere to park. It's going to be the next bird. You see directly in front of us, you can see that yellowy building. That's the Bondi.
Нет, у вас все таких черных. Это
недалеко.
А это мой сын. Да, я только... Идем, я вас познакомлю.
Куда, да? Я не Снимайте Джона, пожалуйста. Я могу четко, не делаю это. Всегда удается.
Belongs to my friend.
Или банда, или даблби, я так думаю, судя по расстоянию. А в принципе, да, ну это сейчас горно.
Где вы сейчас находитесь?
Мы сейчас вот здесь, вон, вот если вы посмотрите, у него по всему побережью, вот по всему берегу идут один за другим эти пляжи. Это хорошо живет.
Торговый центр Сиднея, районы Харбор и Рокс окружены двумя символами города. Построенным в 1932 году мосту Харбор-Бридж и, конечно же, знаменитой оперой. О ней разговор особый. С некоторых пор райское наслаждение у нас в России ассоциируется, прочно ассоциируется со словом «баунти». В Австралии с этим словом связана история. В 1954 году поставили. Всякий город пятого континента, Сидней представляет собой причудливую смесь, как всякий более-менее старый город пятого континента, Сидней представляет собой причудливую смесь двух стилей. Это, конечно же, колониальный стиль и стиль железобетона. всякий более-менее старый город Сидней, как всякий более-менее старый город Пятого континента, Сидней представляет собой причудливую смесь елки-палки. Как всякий более-менее старый город Пятого континента, Сидней представляет, как всякий более-менее старый город, один из первых городов Австралии, Сидней представляет собой, архитектура этого города представляет собой причудливую смесь двух направлений. Это, конечно же, колониальный, как раз за моей спиной находится первое, самое древнее здание Австралии. И, естественно, сейчас это город уже стекла и бетона. чужой, далекой, главное, незнакомой стране всегда приятно найти что-то русское и родное. На этот раз нам удалось точно вычислить расстояние от Сиднея до Москвы.
Прибытие поезда на вокзал. Все было.
Serving the AMP Tower, Centre Point, David Jones, Grace Brothers Department Stores, the Hilton Hotel, Pitt Street Mall, the Sheraton on the Park Hotel, Centre Point Shopping Centre, and St James Railway Station.
Aboard their luxury catamaran cruises. Or recreate the days of old on board their 92-year-old ship, the Solway Lass. Cruises depart daily from the Aquarium Wharf. The distinctive black building is the Panasonic IMAX Theatre, one of the world's largest cinema screens. The Panasonic IMAX Theatre at the National Maritime Museum, Darling Harbour. World-class displays including real ships. Next to Harborside Station. Open 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily.
You are now passing Sydney's famous Manly Ferry, the South Steam, the world's largest steam ferry. Now operating as a floating restaurant and function centre. The ship is open daily and admission is free. Visit Sydney Harbour Casino at Darling Harbour for the best in international casino games. Open 24 hours a day.
Harborside Shopping Centre provides you with an array of experiences. Visit the multitude of specialty shops or dine at one of the many restaurants, whilst enjoying the best harbour and city views in Sydney.
Towering above Harborside is the Mercure Grand Apartments, One Darling Harbour. These luxury apartments offer sweeping views of Darling Harbour, the city.
The next station is Convention. Exit here for the Novotel Sydney, Astorgold for Apartment Hotel, the Motor Vehicle Museum, the Merlin Centre, Harborside.
The hotel is an established landmark where Sydneysiders and visitors gather in Bodan's restaurant and lunch a rush. Local cutters are local wholesalers, where you can buy at unbeatable wholesale prices and see opals being cut and set. Pick up your free brochure at any of the monorail stations. The last building on your left is the Four Plaza monorail station.
Хорошо у них все. Каракатица, да? Живой. Живой. Я вот такой вот здоровый. Нет, он небольшой есть. Но я его не вожу с собой. Я вот... И очень мощное тело у него.
А это зеленая мурена написано. Грин.
А лучки такие две палки.
Да.
Он так выдохнул сейчас, а какая у него шесть, они так и шастают. Лапки вот такие. А этот раз разложил, так раз, так и оттягивает.
меньшего. Все, Моисеем вытащили. Лилька началась.
Пылинки такие классные. Ощущение не из приятных. Даже здесь.
Необходимое. Я уже не могу с ней, конечно, бороться. Ну как? 5 раз она проходит. Вот как вот с ним? Как вот с ним бороться? Прям поневоле камеру себе.
Кому известно, что континент Австралия был открыт раньше Америки. Если Колумб искал кратчайший путь в Индию, то французский капитан Бино де Гонневиль лишь слегка промахнулся из-за мощного шторма. И он первым произнес, высадившись на эту землю, знаменитую фразу колонизаторов: «Этот остров мой немножко будет».
Слушайте, ребята, это, по-моему, парк, лунопарк. А? грузовике.
Ну, все сзади пошли уже. А вот это маленькая, вот это я мальчик убился. Идите. Я не могу, я хочу большой, вон там он большой. А вон он там. Я думаю, что она подпрыгала бы. Ну, если еще по одному кругу пройдет. Ну, так мало.
Она попрошайничает. А это старый мудрый. Они как дохлые. Он старый просто.
Он не скачет, он не молодой. Он еле... Скакал.
А вот они в прыжке совсем другие животные. Сразу такое все.
Попрыгай. Ты пришла. Ну прыгни. А потом победить, чтобы она побежала. Меня с ней. Сумка заинтересовала очень. Давай, открой ее.
Что-то есть.
Там
Андрюша? Чапни, так это самое, будет похоже на семя. Вот это вот тоже. Можно знаешь?
Возьми. Это вообще класс.
Там сколько долларов?
У меня автомат. Может, они спят. Они наркоманы, они спят и все.
Ты ехидна, это не утконос, ты ехидна.
Ты ехидна? Утконос с таким широким носом. А там же еще этот вон. Ехидна. Вот одна. Вот вторая.
Ага. Ну, значит, нужно договориться.
Да. Ну так, я ее заряжал сейчас.
Там лежит один жираф тебе.
Кого?
Ну давай, падай. А вот там сейчас что-то уже украла, посмотри, сидит, кушает. Зелененькая. На.
Да. Остановка сколько было, а?
Это почему туда не говоришь?
А у меня серая шкурка. Я тебе давай сниму, что ты меня все снимаешь?
Рыжий, нет слова,
а это западный серый.
Ну, это серая шкурка.
Серый, у вас не добавили. На 66?
Маленькая это. Ой, какой. О.
Ну, это строго сейчас.
Догонить, ага, надо против цели.
Большой тихо, но и один деревень вообще на всех.
Обкакал все вокруг.
А попробуйте походить. Давайте на фоне города или на фоне Казахстана.
Los acompañamos al quinto y tenemos que ir abajo con...
Look forward, I think it's forward. Look forward, it's forward.
Причем это вот, я не знаю, это, видимо, не лечится, потому что если нужно
That's okay. We're going to the Mitchell Library. We're going...
Какая красивая. Марокко мы сидели. ТВ Россия. Генеральный директор подготовки Паралимпийских игр Нагано. Мистер Тай. Нормально, нормально. всегда рад его видеть. Значит, слышишь, я Карлу Вангу лучший знак такой. Ирина, иди к нам, иди. Чем больше шума, тем лучше. Иди сюда.
For the first time?
Лучший организатор Европы IPC.
Yeah.
How are you?
Fine.
Он всегда в новом красивом играл. А вот сзади.
And to Dr. Robert Stepwood, the President of the International Paralympic Committee. A very warm welcome to our special. It's a delight for the Australian Paralympic Federation to have this opportunity tonight to extend our welcome to all of you. It's just a wonderful gathering. I think there's about 93 countries that Mario listen on that. Something like 90.
The Honourable Clerk of the Australian Paralympic Federation, its member associations, its board, its men travelling from down under to wherever. And that is splendid demonstrations, each with a flash. This 7th General Assembly provides knowledge, our energy and our enthusiasm in productive outcomes for the athletes we represent and the absolute importance of partnerships. The Australian and all national sporting organisations, the
Paralympic are going to deliver to Australia a lasting impact. People in all parts of this Commonwealth. Needless to say, I hope that we're going to have the best Olympics and Paralympics yet seen, one that will make all the athletes.
Minister Knight is right in that it was quite a thrilling evening
on the final day of competition and the closing ceremonies in Atlanta last year when the big transition of moving the games from one city to another. And I was really thrilled to go for our movement and for all the delegates here in the Paralympic Organizing Committee. I'm also very proud to be associated sure that these games are a success. So on behalf of the International Sprint Around, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
So maybe if we could, if you have some time, if you're going to be here for a little while, to give me an opportunity to talk to a few of my friends, and then we can maybe do it in about, yes, we can do it here if you want. You want to do it here?
Господин Стюарт, что вам известно о Паралимпийском комитете России накануне своей поездки в Москву?
Mr. Stedwood, we would like to ask you, what do you know about the newly established Paralympic Committee of Russia before coming here?
About the which, I'm sorry?
About the Russian Paralympic Committee.
What do I know about them?
Yes, what do you know about it?
Oh, well, from my understanding, we know that a new National Paralympic Organizing Committee was created. We were advised of the new members of that association, and that's why now I'm that's why I've made contact to go to Russia to meet with the members.
Я знаю, что у вас молодой паралимпийский комитет, что он не так давно создан, и поэтому в мои планы входит ознакомиться с этим с вашим паралимпийским комитетом и посетить Москву в ближайшем будущем.
Какие ваши планы вот насчет внедрения в Паралимпийском комитете России тех структур, тех правил, которые существуют в IPC?
What is your opinion about introduction of the IPC rules, which exist in the IPC, into the Russian Paralympic Committee?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Повторите, пожалуйста, вопрос еще, уточните, пожалуйста, вопрос еще раз.
Вы собираетесь, приняв свой комитет, в IPC, Международный паралимпийский комитет, наш паралимпийский комитет, оказывать какую-то помощь, содействие?
After accepting the Russian Paralympic Committee as a new member of the International Paralympic Committee, are you going to render some kind of assistance to the Russian Paralympic Committee?
Well, of course, every organization that belongs to IPC is eligible to apply for some funding to assist athletes in going to Paralympic Games through our Solidarity program.
Несомненно, каждый член, вступивший в Международный паралимпийский комитет, имеет право обратиться за каким-то финансированием, которое осуществляется через так называемый фонд солидарности Международного паралимпийского комитета.
But at the present time, the level of funding that we have is not that high right now. Therefore, we can only support a few athletes.
Но в настоящее время этот фонд недостаточно финансирован для того, чтобы оказать помощь всем. В настоящее время мы можем оказать финансовую помощь только нескольким отдельно взятым спортсменам.
But when I come to Moscow in December, I want to, and it would be important for me to meet with the highest political authority in Russia so that I can talk to them about giving the very best support to athletes with a disability in your country.
Но когда я приеду в Москву, моя основная задача – это познакомиться, выйти на высшие правительственные круги России для того, чтобы обговорить вопросы оказания помощи спортсменам, инвалидам России.
Thank you. So you did fine.
сначала активист и кончал. Когда утро прилетел, чтобы заснуть. А уже вчера вечером Ром Бакарчик.
Good morning to you, translators. The channel 1 is Arabic, channel 2 is English. To begin the opening ceremony, and I wonder if I could ask you all, please, to stand for two reasons. Firstly, to welcome our President, Dr. Robertson.
And to welcome officially to Australia all the overseas participants in particular, and for you to return in the company of relatives, friends, or even professional comments upon our more general support for the aims and ideals of the international and the 1956 Melbourne Olympic Games. In 1993, the government indicated a willingness to join with the New South Wales government is being paid progressively to the organising committee. And from day of the Olympic and the Paralympic Games. Surely events in Atlanta, but at a more practical level, there's much that the Australian government is doing to facilitate the entry procedures to Australia for members of the Paralympic. And Sydney Airport is to extend a comparable level of service at Sydney Airport when the outstandingly successful Australian Paralympic team arrives back from Atlanta worthy of elite athletes to ensure that those games are mounted in such a fashion are there to prepare for those games. Now, I've dwelt so far this morning on your movement over the last decade or so has made enormous progress, and you would be congratulated on that progress. It's provided an opportunity for people with a it has among people with disabilities. The Australian government through a range of initiatives to those with disabilities. Finally, let me say that the number of countries represented here at this assembly
being Minister responsible for the Paralympics is it builds in a degree of public accountability. And in the public mind, I am personally and we've begun with a grant of $25 million to SPOC. A building program that you will see at Hunbush. You will see a program worth in excess of $3 billion. Very deliberate about doing is that all of those facilities, Morris, who will be familiar to some of you, as one of Australia's gold medal wheelchair bus for vision and hearing impaired users. Secondly, all of the counters and all of the ready for handover by the end of January. You'll see that adjoining those halls and the main stage
It gives me great pride and pleasure to welcome each of you to this big responsibility for a component of the Sydney 2000 Paralympic organisation. Of preparing and supporting the Australian Winter Paralympic team to compete in this legacy has to be tangible and attainable. Without such a legacy, the success in 1998 and 2000 would be only part of the role. Enabled the greatest gathering of member countries, some 93, to attend this. I declare our intention to maintain visible and viable membership of the IPC now and in
Australian Government. Honourable Michael Knight, Minister for the Paralympics. I had great pleasure this morning on behalf of the Sydney Paralympic Organising Committee to extend to you all a welcome. Here we have the opportunity of hosting you to dinner. You are here in Australia, you will have the opportunity really to absorb what we are doing. This to us is administration and also the Sydney Olympic Organisation, and you will begin for us to be able at a board level to discuss matters of common interest. Our partnership with government are also strengthened by the very fact that we have on our board the Director General of the Games, but also to enjoy Sydney, Australia, and what we have towards a highly successful Games in the year 2000. And at the same time,
thank you. So we welcome from the International Olympic Committee, Mr. Gilbert Velli.
Who apologize for not being here today, has asked me to give you and volunteers in the field of the development of the sport for disabled on behalf of the disabled sport. We know that all of this is possible because of that successful game, Centennial Game in Atlanta, with more athletes than before, 2008. We are very pleased with the preparation program in development of sport for all, program in medicine, academic present work are excellent. And we have been able to, but the most important thing is not the financial direct help, it's the support that we have received for the grant, who probably with this team has been successful to convince the organizers of state government in Australia, in America.
I am confident in my conviction that there
За что аборигены съели Кука, никто не знает. Молчит наука. Зато науке точно известно, что 29 апреля 1770 года на глазах у местных жителей парусник Endeavour под командованием капитана Джеймса Смита бросил якорь в гавани на месте будущего города Сидней. За что аборигены съели Кука, никто не знает. Молчит наука. Зато науке точно известно, что 29 апреля 1770 года парусник Endeavour на глазах у местных жителей За что аборигены съели Кука, никто не знает. Молчит наука. Зато науке точно известно, что 29 апреля 1770 года парусник Endeavour под командованием капитана Джеймса Кука на глазах у местных жителей бросил якорь в гавани на месте будущего города Сидней. Несмотря на то, что на территории Австралии не было разрушительных войн, островитяне не раз принимали участие в войнах, которые вела Великобритания. И как следствие, было среди них много погибших. Несмотря на то, что на территории Австралии не было разрушительных войн, островитяне не раз участвовали на стороне Великобритании в различных конфликтах и мировых войнах.
Stopping.
конец 18 века ознаменовался колонизацией Австралии. Итак, конец 18 века ознаменовался европейской колонизацией Австралии. Как я уже говорил, контингент на борту кораблей капитана Артура Филиппа был еще тот. И вот в 1788 году бывшие заключенные... вообще. Итак, как я уже говорил, белые... Как я уже говорил, контингент людей, находившийся на борту капитана Артура Филиппа, был еще тот. И вот ночью ли это было, днем ли, но братва, высадившись на берег, сразу же набросилась на заключенных женщин. К ним вскоре присоединились накачанные ромом моряки. Из этого следует: история Белой Австралии началась с оргии.
To facilitate marketing and communication media. However, I really hope that
the third nominated position on
to all vital delegates of the General and also the first woman elected to the IPC. This may be over 42 years at all levels of sports administration.
лет. Так соберет 2-3 детей, ну там вот из Вероники такая, на телевизор идет
Could I ask once more, any national organization, France? Thank you. Bolivia?
The first card that you should have, the first election card, in the box beside one person. Otherwise, you're...
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Democracy.
No, we will finish.
And to target the excellence. What about the virtual? Is the General Assembly to bring my experience of the contracts and the internationalization targeted on the essential of its work?
Делегаты Ассамблеи, уважаемый президент.
Dear delegates of the General Assembly, dear Mr. President.
Я для себя решил баллотироваться не на 2, не на 3 поста, на 1.
I have made a decision to run for elections not for 2 positions, but for only 1 position.
Я вице-президент Паралимпийского комитета, отвечающий за маркетинг и внешнетинговые организации спорта для инвалидов.
Besides, I am a lecturer at the university in marketing and organization sports for the disabled.
Главная моя задача – отстаивать демократические принципы в своей работе.
My main task, my main priority is to follow the democratic principles in my work.
Естественно, как воспитанник спорта и человек спорта, я знаю цену команды, ценю дух команды и хочу заверить делегатам Генеральной Ассамблеи, что буду играть в команде как дисциплинированный игрок и полностью подчиняться интересам команды IPC. В достижении нашей общей цели – развитие и процветание Паралимпийского комитета и Паралимпийского движения. Цель моей жизни – развитие спорта для инвалидов.
In achieving our common objective, development and success of the Paralympic Committee and the Paralympic movement. The main aim, the main objective of my life is development of sports for the disabled people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Alexander.
As mentioned, the tremendous growth both in the quantity and as an organization and as a department, we need to diversify with the other departments within IPC to increase.
Okay, thank you. Мы еще будем работать.
Можно ли сказать, что эта ассамблея была определяющей на годы вперед?
Да, конечно, потому что много вопросов решилось для развития паралимпийского движения, не только здесь, вот, в Австралии, но и во всем мире. И те игры, которые мы сейчас ожидаем в Нагано, те игры, которые будут проходить здесь в 2000 году Атланта, Австралия, конечно, это решение многих вопросов и проблем. И вы знаете, что эта ассамблея собрала самое большое количество народа, делегаций многих стран. Участвовало в ассамблее 95 стран.
Ну, как вы думаете, России в будущем можно будет, представителям России в будущем можно будет претендовать на самые высокие места в Паралимпийском комитете?
Я думаю, что да, потому что Россия заявила о себе на этой Генеральной Ассамблее. Она выглядела очень серьезно и представительно. И я думаю, что в будущем мы будем представлять в Международном Паралимпийском комитете своих представителей, и они будут заниматься развитием Международного паралимпийского движения.
То есть наш прогресс по сравнению даже с Конгрессом, который был в Атланте, чувствуется?
Да, конечно. Россию уже признали, Россию знают, Россию уважают, и это приятно.
Что ж, окей. Господин Хигучи, все ли сейчас готово в Нагано для проведения Паралимпийских игр?
Mr. Taro Higuchi, could you please tell us whether it is everything ready for the Paralympic Games in Nagano now?
長野のパラリンピックの大会の準備とどのような状況でしょうか。
今順調に進んでいましてね、すべての施設はできましたし、スタッフも全部配置しましたから、あと皆さんの長野へ来ることを待っているだけです。
Preparations for the 1998 Winter Paralympics are smoothly, and every competition venues are completed in October. And only thing is we are welcoming athletes and officials.
Я хочу сказать, что подготовление к Паралимпиаде 1998 года сейчас в Японии закончены, завершены. Все олимпийские объекты были сданы в эксплуатацию еще в октябре, так что мы готовы приветствовать участников.
Ассамблея в Сиднее сыграла какую-то роль для будущих Паралимпийских игр и для вас?
Has the Paralympic Assembly here, the General Assembly, played some substantial role for your games and the future Paralympic Games?
今回総会等がありまして、いろんな会議に出席したと思いますけれども、その際に行われた報告等とか含めまして、今回の印象はどうでしょうか。
みんな熱心にね、やっぱりパラリンピックの発展のために各国の皆さんが頑張ってもらっているという印象を受けました。
I was very impressed to everyone involved in the Paralympics dedicated for Paralympic movement, and we realize we must do our best for the future Paralympics, one of organizer.
На нас произвело огромное впечатление, с каким самоотверженности, с какой работоспособностью здесь работали все делегаты. И, несомненно, результаты конференции Генеральной Ассамблеи окажут влияние на будущее паралимпийское движение.
Thank you.
Вы переставите это местами, потом перемонтируйте.
Господин Тагу, мы хотим вручить вам фильм.
Mr. Taro, we would love to present you this film.
Это фильм «Чемпионат Европы», семейно-культурный спортивный фестиваль инвалидов.
This is the film about our festival and about the European Championship, which was held in our region in Siberia.
Это наша продукция по чемпионату, по нашей деятельности, которая проходит в России, небо открытое для всех, чемпионат. Чемпионат.
Our championships organized by our country are presented. I would like to reward the honor for you.
Я хочу вручить вам золотой знак отличия.
This is the golden honor. Golden award.
Фонда социальной защиты, который я возглавляю.
On behalf of the foundation which renders protection to disabled people, and Alexander is the head of this foundation.
Носят у нас ведущие спортсмены, ведущие деятели, которые имеют знак президент России.
The most important people which benefit Greater Nagano in the country of sunrise. Спасибо большое, я очень благодарен вам. До встречи в Нагано. До встречи.
A stunning new skyline at Homebush Bay, the home of the Sydney 2000 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Located in the centre of Sydney, the Olympic project has turned a degraded industrial site into Australia's largest construction development. The New South Wales Government, through the Olympic Coordination Authority, is well on the way to delivering the promise that gave Australia the Games. But it's much more than concrete and trucks. Innovation and ingenuity and planning for long-term use are integral to the project. Environmental benchmarks are being set in water and energy conservation, waste management, building materials, solar energy, easy access for everyone, including people with disabilities. It's a vision that leads the world. Sometimes it's hard to imagine just how much work has gone on at Homebush Bay. It's just over 12 months since construction work started on the new facilities. Already, the Olympic Stadium has become a Sydney landmark. The world's largest crane has put the roof trusses in place. The stadium will seat more than 110,000 people, with 60,000 under cover, the largest of any Olympic stadium. Work has also started on Australia's largest indoor sports and entertainment centre. Like the main stadium, this arena will be completed well in advance of Olympic requirements. For the first time, Olympic and Paralympic athletes and officials will live together in a single village next to the majority of competition venues. After the Games, the village will be transformed into Sydney's newest suburb, with housing for 5,000, schools, shops, and a high-tech business park. "18 months ago, there was very little to see at the showground site. When the Royal Easter Show arrives at Homebush Bay in April 1998, the purpose-built complex will deliver the excitement that generations have come to expect, and so much more. The main arena will provide a central focus for the Easter Show and home for baseball, both during and after the Olympics. The distinctive domed exhibition hall and its 3 adjoining halls uses a unique combination of plantation timber and steel for the engineering of its major structural ribs. A range of smaller pavilions meet specific exhibition needs, and like all facilities, will serve a variety of purposes during the Games. The development of an integrated transportation system will bring visitors from all over the city and beyond. The Olympic Park railway station is centrally located and delivers an efficient and environmentally proactive solution to the movement of large numbers of visitors. Ferries from the Homebush Bay Wharf offer a water link to the city. Olympic Boulevard, with its majestic fig trees, is just part of a new road network delivering bus services throughout Homebush Bay. All of this development will be surrounded by Millennium Parklands, one of the greatest legacies of the Olympics. The parklands reflect the environmental commitment applied to every project at Homebush Bay. Protection for threatened species and heritage conservation are carefully balanced with a range of recreational activities. With 3 years to go, Australians can be proud of the vision that is delivering sporting, recreational and exhibition facilities that rival any in the world.
These are the faces of some of the best athletes in the world. The Paralympic Games were first held in Rome in 1960. Australia has successfully competed in every game since then. Our team of elite athletes finished second on the gold medal tally in Atlanta.
This is the greatest victory in the history of wheelchair basketball in Australia.
Sydney in the year 2000 represents the first time the Paralympic Games have come to the Southern Hemisphere. And our performance on home soil promises to be nothing short of spectacular. We welcome all to bear witness to this event, which will in itself be bigger than the 1956 Melbourne Olympic Games and the Commonwealth Games. Training for athletes involves anything up to 5 hours a day, 7 days a week. To be successful requires dedication and commitment. Then, all the training comes down to one performance against the best athletes in the world. To compete is an achievement, but to win is the goal of every athlete.
Nugent presses the line and wins it, and it's a world record time.
Troy Sachs. No one who saw the Australian men's wheelchair basketball team win gold at the '96 Atlanta Paralympic Games will forget him leaping from his chair to souvenir the net when the final siren blew. In a masterly performance, Troy set the Olympic and Paralympic record for the number of points scored in one game, an extraordinary 42 points. Sydney will be Troy's third Paralympic Games, and he's training hard to ensure that the team defend gold in front of their home crowd. Priya Cooper. At 21, Priya was co-captain of the Australian Paralympic team in Atlanta and is one of Australia's finest athletes. Competing in 8 swimming events, Priya won 5 gold and 2 silver medals, smashing 3 world and 2 Paralympic records. She's looking to better this amazing performance in front of her home crowd in Sydney. Neil Fuller. A dual gold medalist, having been part of the successful 4x100-metre relay teams in both Barcelona and Atlanta, plans to help defend the title in Sydney. Neil has also won 5 individual silver medals, and his goal for Sydney is to win individual gold in front of a packed house at Sydney Olympic Stadium. These and other elite Australian athletes will be training hard to make the Sydney Paralympic Games Australia's best ever games. As the Olympic flame is extinguished, the Paralympic torch relay will begin its journey to the Olympic Stadium to officially ignite the cauldron of the 11th Paralympic Games. 125 countries will be represented by 4,000 athletes competing in 18 sports over 11 days.
Evans striding out towards the line and your gold medal.
Most events will be held at Sydney Olympic Park, with athletes using the same competition venues as their Olympic counterparts. The close proximity of venues will make it possible for spectators to watch a number of Paralympic sports on any one day. On the 18th of October in the year 2000, the Sydney Paralympic Games begin, forming part of a 60-day sporting festival never before seen in Australia. To be a part of this unique sporting event is to be a part of history. Share the pride, passion, and performance of some of the world's best athletes as they strive for gold and glory. Be there with them as they go the distance.